Volair, INSIKE, Baronna, Massive Zebra and Subcurrent, Erotic Cafe, Hallow, Zona, Moakz, Illament, DJ Zent, Plenty Sheet, E.M.Z, Jinbu, Amalgamate, Fawne.
But I've got a story to tell you, and I'm going to tell it through my music.
It's a special tune. It had to go to a special person doing special things, man.
So it's my debut release.
I learned it only by myself without tutorial because in those years in my country there was no internet yet.
I'm always kind of looking to better myself every day, learn something new.
Somewhat of an ode to fall and also somewhat of a message of like comfort and hope.
This has got to be named after somebody. There's got to be some type of beef behind this.
You got to stop. You got to stop, and you got to look back and look at them steps.
Where it starts off a certain way with the 140 tunes and stuff, and then as it progresses, it builds up into more like an aggressive sound. I really like it, mate.
The Hive and the Queen. It's the opening track on the album as well. Tell me all about that particular track.
It's kind of funny because like I always used to make like I started producing actually with like scoring and stuff. Like I would just pick like random scenes from movies like King Kong, Spider-Man, just like do like a 2-minute score and stuff. That's how I started. And then I was like listening to bass music my whole life basically, and then I tried many genres, but nothing was really fitting until I came across like halftime stuff. Got very inspired by Ivy Lab shades and stuff, and the Hive and the Queen is actually like my first ever serious approach on break music stuff. Oh. So yeah, and so music was like basically part of my life all the time, and then I like found out about producing and like got a bit more into producing, but not that deep. But once things started clicking for me, I was like, okay, I'm gonna drop every hobby I have and go like 100% like on the music production. And I have never regret that so far. So yeah. Just imagine if you would go like into a not organic, but like a robot kind of hive thing, and all the bees are just flying around you in the first drop and stuff, and things are very hectical and not that clear, and like in the second drop you're like just walking into like the center of the hive, like meeting the queen, and it's like staring the queen right in her eyes. So that's like the idea.
Tell me all about dubstep in Cuba.
I can say yes, there is but it's really starting now. It's a practically unknown culture in my country. There are many talents here, but very few spaces or even to demonstrate your music.
Cool. How did you get into production? What's your musical journey been like?
Yeah, I started at the age of 14 in FL Studio without having any idea how to do something there. I learned it only by myself without tutorial because in those years in my country there was no internet yet. Now I mastered 3 DAWs, Ableton, FL Studio and Bigwave. I want to bring my kitchen to my music too because I am a cook.
Oh wow, cool, tasty. So if beatbox was a meal, what would it be?
In the case of beatbox, I think it will be a big piece of beef, a stick of beef, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's very hard to eat it.
Brilliant,
very
more
amazing.
than a mouthful.
Yeah.
Peggy Caddis. She was inspired by my aunt. She was my great aunt, actually. And I think it was kind of my alter ego. You know, I've created this alter ego because I feel sometimes you've got to get out your own way, you know. So Auntie Peggy was my alter ego. She was an incredibly wise woman. You know, she was tall, she was worldly wise, she had this magna red hair that she wore in a tight bun on the top of her head. You know, her nails were always varnished, and she wore a cherry red lipstick to match. She had a joyous personality. She enjoyed a wee dram, or two, or three, or four. She was kind, she was courteous, she was helpful. She was very understanding of others. She was also very direct and efficient in her ways without any foolishness or nonsense. She didn't suffer those clacking. And there's an old Glaswegian saying from back in the day, you know, that as jocks, we still use it, you know, it's a phrase we use to experience and express. And it's, I've got a head full of broken bottles, which basically is my head is full of broken bottles. And it means that, you know, basically our concentration and our focus is complete whack, which usually occurs after stressful times, Dave, you know, and events. We can't fix anything and we're relatively unproductive.
Yeah, I can relate to that massively. I love that saying.
So in 2022, I had some great magical musical moments. But there was some, you know, challenging times in my personal life. And I found that, you know, music is a place for escapism, you know, for us all. This is why we do what we do. It's a tool to deal with the good and the not so good times, the traumatic times. Personally, it's the most gratifying and healthiest way for me to express my feelings.
Hugely. So what I know about you mostly ahead of this call and ahead of speaking to you is through your DJ sets, and you do get proper naughty with your DJ sets. You go in heavy, like.
I like the no nonsense. I think that's the whole point of being on the dance floor as well. You know, I think it's a time where we get lost. We become present in the moment on the dance floor, you know, everything else. You forget your name, you forget everything around you, and you become present, Dave, on that dance floor. And it's the same when you're DJing. And that is the only time that my mind is completely free.
So thank you so much for Backstabber, first of all. Tell me all about the track.
Yeah, basically, I think me and Simon started this tune last year. So we were jamming together, and we had just this drum loop the tune starts with, and we're jamming around with our Moakz synthesizer and a special distortion pedal a friend of mine is building. So it's a handmade boutique distortion.
Oh, cool.
And we were just like recording and jamming around, and I was setting up, I was like doing a setup with several tracks, and in the end we just chopped out the best parts, and this is all the bass sounds you can hear in the tune are from this smoke with the analog distortion. That's it.
Oh, cool.
We already played this tune a lot of times in our sets, and it's great to open your set with some 140 tunes, and then you have Backstabber coming in with the transition to like 172, and then you go into the DMB stuff. So that's really cool. It moves up and breaks down.
I didn't realize. I thought it was half time. Awesome. Those tunes are like
no, it's 140.
Cool. Those tunes are really, really special because they create that kind of seamless feel, then, don't they? So you can jump across the tempos, which is a really special thing. I've got to ask now, a title like Backstabber. This has got to be named after somebody. There's got to be some type of beef behind this, or some type of drama. You can't name a track Backstabber without it being inspired by something. So without incriminating anybody or stirring up any beef, Where does the name Backstabber come from?
I mean, basically, it was my idea. There is no like real story behind that. But because of the tempo change and like the cool, groovy first part, and then it really changes up and gets to this techie vibe. I just thought it's like a good friend that betrays you in the end. So
brilliant, a good friend that betrays you in the end. I love that.
Honestly, there is not that much to say, I mean, in terms of story behind the track. But what I can say is that I clearly had in mind what I wanted to create with the track. So in this case, I wanted to create like a very easy to follow drum and bass track with a simple and effective drop that leaves space to breathe, but also with some very strong melodic elements. I'm changing a lot my sound. I think because, I don't know, I think it's a natural process, just because I'm growing as a person. So I used to make dubstep, and I don't know, at a certain point I felt like I needed to change. I need a kind of change. Before I used to release on labels, but I mean, I don't know, I was a bit annoyed by waiting for labels or making music for their tastes. But I feel like the drum and bass scene is way more concrete, is way more genuine, you know?
I know, and you are still releasing with labels, because obviously you're releasing with One More Thing, and you've also got...
Yeah, you are the first label for so many years. I mean, it was like from, I don't remember, maybe 2019 or maybe before. I don't release on labels, so you are the first one from a very long time. Yeah.
Wow, go on. That's a real honor and a privilege there to be trusted with your music.
Privilege is mine, man.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Is this full time for you? Do you work full time on music?
Yeah. I mean, I work full time on music. Half of the day I work for other people's music. So I do like productions for other people, mixing and mastering works, and everything that is audio related. And then in the afternoon and evening, I work for my stuff.
So is this like ghostwriting work then, or more additional production or mastering and stuff like that?
Literally everything. I mean, I have both. I have ghost production, co-productions, mixing and mastering. I can't say it's more of one thing. It's a bit of everything.
Right, cool. Have you ever done some really big tracks as a ghostwriter? I'm asking you some awkward questions.
Yeah, I started to ghostwrite for a single person, and with this person, I worked for this person for many years, like every month making tracks for this person. And he was doing very well in Australia. So our music was in radio. Of Australia, but I mean, I would not say who is him.
No, you can't. You're not allowed.
Yeah, exactly.
I occasionally do a challenge in October where in this online music community called Fawne, there's like a whole list of prompts that I think there were 11 in the year I did it, which was 2021. And you just sort of start a tune or make a piece of art to follow the prompt. This one was, it was a fairly interesting prompt, actually. I don't remember, let me see if I remember it. I think it's, we black out, we wake up in the sewer surrounded by fish, which is not decidedly what the song ended up being about. That was really fun because it sort of just informed my sound choices and whatnot, and the sort of vibe I went for, which was this really deep, like, cavey vibe with sort of dripping sounds.
Whoa, cool. So it's literally just like, that's a really interesting way of finding inspiration, and a way of kind of a context to start the creative process, really. That's fascinating. Brilliant. Excellent. Cool. How else do you find inspiration when you're writing tunes?
It totally depends. Usually I'll just like be messing around with the sound or something, or just have an idea for a chord melody and jot it down and see where it takes me, pretty much.
Brilliant.
I do take a lot of inspiration from like nature though, and also just identity and feelings and whatnot.
Tell us about your hospital release as well.
Yeah, so Hospital originally like reached out to me because I think Moakz was doing a bunch of feedback streams in like early 2021, and I had a track called A Walk in the Woods, featuring a vocalist called Zia, and Moakz had like a special stream where he sort of sent it to various other Hospital artists, and mine got heard by London Electricity, and it almost made him cry, apparently. So that was I didn't even know that it was getting like sent to him until I woke up one morning and checked SoundCloud and saw a message from London Electricity and just did a double take. Like, what?
Wow.
Is that real?
Wow.
And so they really liked that one, but the problem was by the time they decided that they wanted to release it, I had already sort of worked out the plan for the EP that it was on. And so I just said, okay, I'm going to write a whole new tune in a similar vein with Zia again. And that became Dappled Light, which is somewhat of an ode to fall and also somewhat of a message of like comfort and hope, specifically directed at like transgender people, but it can apply to anyone, I think.
Right.
Yeah, it's really tough sometimes because I've talked about this at length at times on like Instagram and Twitter. It's like there aren't that many people like me in drum and bass. I don't look at the scene and see tons of people like me. I think that it's a lot more awesome now that I think Unorthodox has a really, really good thing going with like Maddie Dexterous, Nathan X, Chickaboo, all of those people who just are awesome. Been wonderful to get this tune out because it was one of those ones that sort of floats in between parts of my sound and therefore doesn't really fit on any particular project. So it's like, well, what do I do with this? And you announce the compilations and I'm like,
brilliant.
Might as well.
Tell me all about the track, because this is a really, really special one for you. Even more special than anything else you've done, I think.
Yeah, 100%. And it's important for me to say to you as well that I wouldn't just give this to anybody, this tune, if you know what I mean. I debated it long and hard, along with another track that was very close to me, just because they were written about quite, well, not quite dark, very dark times in my life. And yeah, this one was specifically just about pain, I think. And I don't know, I feel I'm transported back to that place when I listen to that tune. And for me, like if that's happening for me, I can only hope that it gives other people at least a glimmer of something, you know?
Wow, thank you for trusting me with something so special. This is the catharsis of music, isn't it? This is the importance of creativity and being able to let out some of those emotions.
Yeah, 100%. And I think for me, I've not met anybody, sorry everybody else, that has the same passion and intent that you do, mate. And it's a beautiful thing to watch your journey and be a part of it with you, mate. So yeah, it felt right, so let's make it a reality, innit? And I'm looking forward to getting it out, mate.
How did you feel once you finished it? Do you listen to it at all, or is it one of those ones you keep locked away, almost like, and you write down your feelings and then you can almost burn the piece of paper and you know that you've written them down and that's almost enough, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, interesting, because honestly, the first time I listened to it was today.
Oh,
when
wow.
I saw your post reminded me, oh yeah, that shit, because I think block it out a little bit in a way because it's about such a troubling time for me. I think I kind of ignored it and forgot about it. And then I listened to it today and I was just like, it was a bit of a bad time to listen to it. I listened to it on my lunch break and I was just like, oh mate. It was really difficult but really beautiful at the same time. Like, I feel like I sound really pretentious now as well. It's worth noting, but like this is the God's honest truth. Yeah, it genuinely takes me back to after we lost our daughter and seeing the pain in my missus' eyes, and I'll never forget it. And now I feel like that's a way I can, like you said, lock it away, and it's there. It's in its own little box.
And I don't think it sounds pretentious at all. I know loads of people who are going to be watching this and will relate to that, or maybe written tunes like that themselves. And this is the power of music. This is the power of expression and creativity, isn't it? It's much more than just, you know, but mixing a few tunes or dancing and going raving and stuff. This is the realness here.
Yeah, man. And I think when you look across other genres, there's a lot more of it than there is in D&B. And I feel like that's not a true reflection. I feel like a lot of people are quite introspective and deep that make music, and they're maybe just afraid to be honest about it. And I think, again, if I think back to the subject of child loss, do you know what I mean? So many people, even within our scene, have probably experienced that at some point. And it's about honesty, innit? We all need to just open up more, mate, and just be real.
Yeah, we really, really do. Tell me all about In the City.
Yeah, so really like putting that track together. It was great fun. So it's for me, it's like a crate diggers tune, to be honest. You know, I've really been kind of digging around on dusty old records and kind of finding samples that work together on that and picking from obscure sources, which I don't do on all of my tunes, but it kind of felt like I wanted to do a track that kind of harked back to kind of back in the day vibes there on it.
This is the start of an exciting new chapter for you in a way, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's been something that I've been kind of getting back into, I think, since the pandemic, kind of around that March time, 2020, really kind of getting my head back around the next generation of artists coming through. I think for me, people like Tim Reaper, Sully, Coco Bryce, found them really inspiring artists to listen to. And it took me, when I first heard it again, it kind of took me a while to get my head around it, because I've been listening just to drum and bass, as far as that sort of style of music, and then kind of feeling the new jungle stuff, and then seeing the possibilities with it, and realizing that kind of wasn't the end of the story, like for me back in the day of that style. But in that initial era, yeah, we're totally absorbed in it. Used to go out raving all the time. We'd go up to like Dreamscape and Helter Skelter and all those big events like that. And then, yeah, we ran our own events for a while as well. We ran offshore boat parties, which were Mixmag recommended and featured on Radio 1 and the like. Had some great DJs on there. We had Bad Company really early days, just before they launched their first album. We had another event called Toast, which is like a weeknight event in Southampton as well. And we had people like DJ Rat, Hype, Andy C, Black Market, people like that all coming and joining. Ed Rush, yeah, so many great names and so many good memories.
Tell me all about Codename Amen.
Yeah, so Codename Amen, event-wise, it's kind of something that Gavin, Rome and I, we kind of worked on together as a concept. Leading up to the pandemic, we spent 6 months kind of working on the brand. There we go.
Hey, go on.
And we were kind of, getting enthused about the old jungle again and really digging through our old tunes, but also being really inspired by all the new stuff that was coming through. Start getting to grips with all the artists that were out there. But we were ready to go with it, ready to launch. Basically March 2020, and then obviously pandemic happened and we had to pull the plug, and we're coming up for our first birthday event in March now, having done I think 5 events in total since then.
And you're launching a label as well. It's going to become a label very soon.
We are, yeah. So we've been putting in a lot of effort, and I should mention there's a third person that's come into the mix with the label now. So Dave Chiron has joined up with us. And basically what we wanted to do is kind of expand upon what the event plays, really. So the label will be launching end of April, we think. We're just firming up on the final releases. We've got, I think, best part of 10 releases ready to go in queue at the moment, and they're all various artist EPs. It's it's one of those things that just, it feels like it's coming together really nicely. Hopefully we can kind of all work together as a collective, and you know, we get the label established and kick on a bit, we can all kind of rise together with it.
So it's hard to explain really. It's just one of those ones where like when I go into making a tune, I never really like think, okay, I'm going to make this kind of thing. There's never really like something set in mind. There wasn't really any sort of idea in place before I started making it. It was just one of those situations where you make a really cool, funky bass and stuff like that, and then you're like, okay, this could go somewhere. Built some drums around it. When I finished it, I sent it out to some DJs and people doing radio shows and that. They all seemed to love it. So I was like, all right, cool, I've done something right. Doesn't sound like much of my other music as well, so I feel like it's got quite an original vibe and stuff. Really happy with it, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it does start to kind of highlight a signature that you're really developing, and that's that kind of slightly off-grid, kind of unpredictable bass kind of swagger to it, which I'm hearing in a lot of tracks, going right the way back to like, you know, your old Objective collaborations and stuff like that, going like back.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
How do you know about them? I'm surprised you know about those tracks, actually. Yeah.
I'm always paying attention. It's interesting because when you started sending me music, I also had Tom Rum from Outline Audio bigging you up as well. Like literally the day your music landed in my inbox, other people were talking to me about you and highlighting you as a talent to watch out for as well.
Oh, that's really cool, actually. I'm quite gassed to know about that. I don't see myself as someone that other people talk about too much. I'm always quite surprised when people big me up and stuff. Tom's a legend as well. He's a really good guy.
He really is.
Awesome. Absolutely.
What got you into kind of producing? Where did your journey start?
Oh, bloody hell. So my mum's ex-husband, when I was like 8, he was like a producer. He was like DJing in Ibiza and stuff like that, playing like tech house and stuff. Wow. So I always had like access to doors from a young age. Obviously I didn't know what I was doing for a very long time, but I did DBS in Plymouth in 2011, and then that's where it all actually started really. I was producing at the same time as Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites by Skrillex when that came out. So that's kind of like my main inspiration for what started me off. I was making some very American sounding dubstep back in the day. But I met Felix Objective actually in like 2016, and that's when I started making D&B. We did a lot of stuff together, and it was like, okay, this is my calling. This is what I want to do.
What's tattooed on your hands there?
Oh, that's my stepson's nickname, Bash, Sebastian, that's his nickname, yeah. I always promised myself I was never going to get a name tattooed on me, but it's my son, innit, so it's a bit different.
Oh, that's special, man, that's wicked.
Everyone thinks it's aggressive because it's on my knuckles and it says Bash, and then I explain it to him and it's like, oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, big up Bash. Like.
Yeah, he's a legend, mate.
Easy. Go on.
Okay, so Bun That and a few other tracks, I think about 6. I had a bit of a revelation last summer at a rave, festival called City Splash in Brixton, and I came away from it and I was thinking, I need to just get the roots back into I need to get the roots into my music. Like, you know, there's certain sounds you can't test, and there's certain sounds that we should be paying homage to. And I want to start generating my own style around them, and so Bun That was one of 6 tracks that kind of had a big jungle influence for me.
Tell me all about Dream Bass.
So Dream Bass UK Records, we launched last April. I launched with a pal, James Curtis, who was running an event side. He sadly got taken ill and had to take a step back, and
sorry to hear.
Yeah, so he's just taking a step back, and he's got to sort his health out and all that kind of stuff. So I'm now, he said just run it by yourself, so I'm running it by myself now. We had Tej on for the first release, and we've had Harley D, and we've had also some great up and coming acts. I want to go between established and up and coming. Yeah, I truly believe it. From where I've come from, an old school raver, and then about 4 or 5 years ago I started from not really knowing too many people, so say from the bottom, and I really feel it's important to you know, give people, you know, the chance if they're making good music, not to dismiss them because they're not a name. And I'm not saying people do that, but for me personally, it's a big important part of Dreambase.
Yeah, it's a fundamental part of this label as well, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think people do. I think people look at numbers. I think people look at where people come from. I also think people look at age as well. And if you're a newcomer and you're not 19 or 20, then that can be a barrier to overcome, I think, sometimes. It sounds like you've been on a journey as well. You've come from the dance floor. This hasn't been something that you've gradually got into this through a passion for raving to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, when I was younger, I had a hooky copy of Reason 2.5, I believe, and I used to muck around with it, and I used to get some good things out of it, but I had no idea what I was doing. And then got into raving, and then I was into career. I ran an electrical business, which I've now parted from, and it just took up too much time, and I got to a point where I was like, had a little breaking point where I was just like, I can't do this anymore, so I left it, took it up part-time again, and then focused all my time on doing some music production courses and some lessons and just whatever I could, and now I'm kind of 4 or 5 years down the road into it.
Go on, that's amazing. You are living the dream.
Always with some of the big labels get a little bit like, oh, I'm not ready, and me and the missus, we listened through a few tracks, and I was like, just tell me where you think they should go straight away, you know, just tell me, forget that it's me. And she just wrote down these labels, and I was like, she's put Serial Killers and Jungle Cakes in them, and I was like, okay, F it, I'm gonna do it. And I sent them to Serial Killers first, and then they asked for 2, and I couldn't believe it. And then I sent the rest to Jungle Cakes, and then they wanted 2 as well, and I was like, wow, one of the biggest moments definitely for me.
Big up your missus. So then is she like your second pair of ears then, in terms of kind of once you finish the track and stuff like that? She clearly knows the scene and knows the labels if she's name checking them.
She's my raver, mate. She goes everywhere with me. We're best friends, and she has got a good ear. In fact, if you want a little exclusive, nobody knows this, we are currently co-producing together, separate from Zent. We're going in her direction. I want to orchestrate her mind and her sound and fuse it a little bit with my skills, and we're currently making an EP together.
Oh, wow. Go on, amazing.
Did you think it was always you? That it was always you? It could have been you.
I think I'd done the draft of the song, the track, and then I was like, this needs some proper, like, it needs some quite intense vocals, quite captivating. In my head, I had something which it almost sounded like I'd already heard it before from a film, but this didn't actually exist. You know, like it needs a particular voice, and the voice that I had was an American female, and so I started to search for, and then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna have a look at, you know, see if I can hire someone to do this for me. And then I eventually found someone, and she'd done work for like McDonald's, Ford, Hyundai Motors and stuff, and I was like, yeah, perfect, this will do.
Wow.
I mean, what I told her initially was, I said it was for a movie trailer, because if I said I was for a track, I think, you know, perhaps with Throw perhaps I wouldn't quite have got the results that I wanted. But yeah, I mean, it literally just worked straight away, and yeah, I couldn't have been happy with it. Couldn't have been happy with it.
Go on, so fibbing on Fiverr.
Definitely not gonna be the last time I do this. I mean, I'm well into it now, and it just gives it an extra, you know, it's like it's an extra part of me and my production into you know, into a tune, and to be honest, man, I mean, I'm pretty proud of it as it is, and yeah, I mean, I'll definitely be getting more you know, more voice actors and different kinds of vocals and stuff, because I haven't really worked with any vocalists in particular anyway and stuff, and now that I've kind of I've got a taste of what, you know, when writing something that's completely original really will give it that extra touch, and I think I'm definitely, you know, that's me from now on, man. No more splice. No more splice. Yeah, I'm loving it. My entire discography, apart from Nemesis, is a free download. Like everything from start to finish. And
whoa! So Nemesis is your first, like, your proper debut.
My favorite
release.
That's right, man. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So everything before that is I just done completely free and stuff because I just wanted, to be honest with you, man, like, I just wanted to get my music out there. I wasn't worried about you know, people paying for it at all. I just wanted to throw my music at people as best as I could.
So I need to ask where you got your name from, because 20 Sheet is quite an interesting name.
I wish I could give you a really, you know, a great story or a funny story, but literally, man, it doesn't go any further than a night drinking when I was in college, and then someone called a £20 note a 20 sheet, and I'd never heard it before, and I was obsessed, and I thought it was hilarious. Like, even though it's not funny at all, but I think in that moment, I
wonder if it was a money thing, because I've heard notes being referred to as sheets before,
and I changed my Instagram name to 20 sheet the next day and stuff, and then basically that was and then after that, like, because I changed my Instagram to it, like, so my friends started calling me it, and it's basically like, it's the closest thing I've ever had to a nickname, and I think it was just like, and then when it come down to me choosing something, that was all I had. But as goofy as it is, and like, or like, you know, as like, it doesn't have any relevance to anything whatsoever, I'm really glad that I chose that name, because it's so easy to find on the internet and stuff when anyone wants to search for me, like, you know, the name will come up, and for that it's all worth it just for that.
I think this is a really special one, isn't it? Tell me all about Dorio Funk.
It is, yeah. So it's my debut release, so I'm so excited you enjoy it, and really looking forward to starting to share some of my music I've been working on hard for the past few years.
Go on, amazing. That's a real privilege to be releasing somebody's debut single.
I made this about 2 years ago. It was in my library of tunes. I always wanted to go back to it, and then I joined Conrad's Sub's Patreon a few months ago, sent it to him, had some feedback, and I thought I really want to rework it and update it. So it kind of like evolved over some time, really, for this one.
Wow.
It was really back in 2019. I entered a remix competition for Subliminal Recordings for Mentis' tune No Disrespect, and had some really good feedback from him. So really, since around 2019-ish, if not before then, I've really been working hard, trying to just work out my own method of making music, and really just taking the time to really develop my own sounds, I'd say. So yeah, and then last year I came runner-up for 23 by 23 in Hospital Records for their remix for Lally and Len's Love the Ray. So I think really that gave me really good like confidence boost, and so since I'm now excited to really get sharing some of what I've been working with my own music, so I really do thank you for this.
And it's really cool because, like, hearing Dorio Funk and Envelope Bass, and then listening to some of your mixes on your SoundCloud as well, you've got a really kind of bouncy energy, a high energy style, really, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really big compliment, actually. So I really do thank you for enjoying the music, and I just love mixing old and new, and like I love selecting music. I love going back in the past and I just research music and just want to like really bring the old and new together. And like you say, I like the bounce, I like the vibe, and like just getting people moving. Really, that's what it's all about.
That really is exactly what it's all about. Brilliant. What do you think of the whole album?
I love it. Do you know what I love? I love how it's like a story. So you start with like more of like the dubstep breakbeat vibes, and then you listen through to each one in order, and then it like builds up and shows a picture. So it's amazing what you're doing.
I've just realised, and I've had a little internal panic. Am I saying your name right? Because you've got dots in between the letters, so you could well be E.M.Z, and we've not had this discussion. So I've been saying M's, and you're called Emily, so I think I'm right. But have I been saying your name okay?
Yeah, so that's a really good point you make, actually. I made a bit of a change. So the dots are there for purpose. It stands for Emily's Music Zone. just to differentiate myself and just make it make sense in terms of the music, because I could go with any kind of zone, from liquid to like jump up, dance floor, jungle vibes. It really depends on the zone.
Tell me about the answer, because I've caught you at a really interesting time, haven't I?
Yeah, a little bit. So in regards to the tune, it came about kind of November time, and it came together kind of really quickly over a few sessions. It was one of those nice tunes that just kind of writes itself. Do you know where you kind of sit down and it's not really what you intended to come out, but kind of in the flow state, the magic of the section just kind of takes you away, I suppose.
I love those moments. They don't happen often enough, do they?
No, I know. I wish I could be in a flow state like that all the time, but then you kind of appreciate it so much more when you've had a few weeks of like stuff really not happening, or a few sessions where you're just bashing your head against the wall.
Yeah, massively.
So yeah, it kind of came together fairly quickly, which was nice. And with this, with the answer, I've been trying to kind of push my sound a little bit. Previously, under my previous alias HD, I was mainly just doing kind of liquid stuff. And whilst this has definitely got liquid elements, I really wanted to kind of push it to be kind of experimental, but hopefully still work in a club environment.
So tell me all about Jinbu now and the whole process of changing your name.
So it's been something I've debated for a little while, but I've never kind of found a name or alias that I was super happy with, and I was just kind of doing it as a split decision. So I kind of kept putting it off, and I wasn't even planning to do it until like, I think January 1st or 2nd when I found the name. But I was just, it was very recent, but I was thinking I'll just stick out with HD until something comes along, because if I'm going to change, then I'm not changing it again.
Yeah, that's it. You only get one chance to really change your name in that type of way, don't you?
Exactly. Otherwise, it just gets confusing. So yeah, I came across Jinbu, which loosely translates to progress, or like a continual progression.
Yeah.
And when I heard that and read that, it kind of really resonated with me, because outside of music and just in day-to-day life, I'm always kind of looking to better myself every day, learn something new, and continuously improve. So when I heard that, I was like, right, that's the one. So yeah, that's currently in process, and that should be announced by the time this is all out.
Oh, cool. This is like a second chance to make a first impression in that type of way. I love the inspiration behind the title as well. So what else comes up from you as well as the answer in the coming weeks and months?
So as well as this single, I've got an EP on Terra Firma, Monkey Bars EP, which is 3 tracks, which I'm super excited about. I've wanted to be on Terra Firma pretty much since I started in drum and bass, so I'm very excited for that one. I've got a release with Interstellar Audio in April.
Cool.
Salad and Beer as well. And then looking at May, we've got 170 plus recordings, Big Up Iron Pain as well. So yeah, that's another EP then.
Wow, go on, nice and busy.
Yeah, it's I spent a lot of last year just writing a lot of music and just kind of getting happy with it, and progressing to the point of production where I was as happy as I could be with it. So yeah, I just wanted to get as much music ready as I could, and now I'm currently just getting another batch of music ready to be sending out again in the coming weeks.
Oh, brilliant. What a time to be a Jinbu then. What a time to change your name and to have, it seems like all of your ducks are in a row then, and you've got everything ready then to have a really exciting year. Yeah,
it feels like it's kind of, the universe is aligned in a way, you know. I've kind of got all these releases coming out, I've got the music where I want it. So now it feels like the perfect time. So yeah, no, I'm really excited. I think it's going to go really well.
Go on, that's amazing. I'm really proud that One More Thing and One More Tune Volume 2 is part of that journey for you as well.
I mean, when I was running my own D&B label and stuff before I moved to Brighton, I think I was getting a little bit bored of being around D&B so much. I started venturing out, I started making a little bit of house, I started making some future bass, and then this is one of the tunes that really stuck, and it's got like a weird, glitchy, tripped out sound.
Yeah, definitely. You catch it really well, and it's a real kind of nagging earworm of a tune. When it gets in my head, when I think about it, it's stuck in my head for the entire day. Then really, it's you've managed to grab something. There's an essence to it which stays in your brain, really, which I guess is the holy grail, really, for producers, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Nagging earworm. I don't think there's anyone in this scene that describes music better than you. I've never heard someone describe music as a nagging earworm. But yeah, man, I guess that's what you want to do. You want to, I guess you just want to make something a bit different and something that people haven't heard before.
So you mentioned just now you ran a label that was breakbeats and bass lines. How's that going? Have you put that aside while you've moved to Brighton? Is that kind of sleeping at the moment?
So that has been put on hold from, I think we put out our last EP in May, and since then there's been nothing on the socials, nothing on the music side. So it was myself running it with my best mate Joel back in Cardiff, and he's in his third year of uni. I've just moved down to Brighton for work, and we sort of said we haven't got the time and effort to put into it that would be fair for the artist releasing. So let's put the brakes on it, and I think we're going to come back in maybe a year or two. We've got a couple of ideas for what we want to do. I think we want to rebrand it. And we'll see what happens in the future, but yeah, for now there's nothing happening on that front.
What was the biggest lesson that you ever learned from breakbeats and bass lines? Because obviously I'm just starting to run a label now, so I'm after any advice that I can get.
I guess we went into it, we started it when we were like 19, and just because we loved D&B, like we were just raving every weekend. We were like, oh, maybe we went into lockdown actually, and we were like, maybe we can just put out music and run a label. And you can do it, but to do it to a good standard is really fucking hard work. I mean, I'm sure you realise already, but the amount of things that go into a release, and if you're going to do it properly, and just doing it to a degree that is, I mean, when you get music off artists, they're spending hours and days on this music, and it means a lot to them. So to give it the respect that it deserves takes a lot of work. And I think with Joel and I, we managed to do it on a pretty good cost basis, because we were doing all the artwork, we were sorting the masters, we were writing all the press and the bios. We managed to cover most of the costs, so we could do it pretty efficiently. But even then, like, to make money as a label, you've got to put out a lot of music and get a lot of streams. So yeah, I mean, I guess the biggest learning was just how much goes into it. And especially now, like, I've been at Shogun and Elevate for 7 months, and I almost cringe a bit looking back at how we ran it. Even though we were doing as well as we could, you see how a label that's been running for 20 years runs a label, and you realise how much more can go into it.
So tell me everything about Under Gravel, I Must Rest. That's such a loaded title as well.
Yeah, I put the track together after a spate of really difficult shifts, and as part of my job I engage with the public and on a day-to-day basis, and I'm asking them for money. It's philanthropic, really. And I think I was just getting really tired of having samey conversations and feeling like we were trapped on the same wheel. And I'm working for something that's looking towards the environment and looking towards landscape restoration, and just felt like people weren't engaging, and it felt like the weight of existence was sitting on me. And okay, that was expressed in the track, because it's kind of the music is catharsis in a cliche way.
So, I mean, there's not a huge amount of Fawne material out there yet. So tell me about your musical journey so far.
Yeah, so I've been keeping it hush. I basically opened the door for the first time when I was 16, after the, again, cliche of hearing is going to a Skrillex gig when he came to South Africa, but really picked it up seriously during lockdown. And I felt I was getting into a bit of a spiral, trying to figure out the techniques, model myself after heroes, like the Noisia crew, etc. But the thing that really helped shape this sound and Fawne was being a part of the Lawn Discord community. Basically just shattered all the rules, broke all the rules, just go out and be experimental and push it to the limit. I think that was also like Gyrofield's philosophy, and just try break stuff, forget the rules. And then it was really helpful, because that made me remember why I was doing it. And then Fawne was that.
Also then, so this is this the first kind of official Fawne debut in a way?
It is number one.
Oh wow, I didn't realise that.
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, very excited.
Yeah, that makes it even more special, and it was already special. So what do you have? Do you have any more up your sleeve? Have you been kind of developing a bit of a stock of material?
Yeah, I'm hoping to put together an EP along the similar lines to Undergravel on His Rest. We'll see how that goes, but there are quite a few songs in the pipeline ready to go.
Brilliant. So tell us an interesting fact that the world should know about Fawne right now.
Wow. An interesting fact about Fawne is usually the fact that I produce music and no one believes me, so I can't use that one. I would say an interesting fact is that I have eaten a crocodile before.
Ooh, wow. Okay. Like served up in a plate in a restaurant, or more in a kind of hunter type of survival scenario?
No, it's kind of like dried meat.
Wow. Okay, go on. I bet it tastes like chicken.
It does. It does. Not as good.
Another awesome fact is that you've got a really cool jumper on as well.
Thank you. It's probably one of my only cool jumpers, which is why I wore it.
Thank you so much for being on the album. What do you make of the album anyway?
The album is sweet. Like, Dave's done a really, really good job putting together some really cool artists, and they all have a lot to offer. So watch the space. Watch the space.
Yes, go on, watch this space. Thank you so much, Fawne. I will see you really soon.